What people tend to do that I think is a mistake when they're trying to get to 10x, going to 10x feels like I got to hurry up. So just use weight loss as an example. People don't gain 60 pounds in 10 minutes and they don't lose 60 pounds in 10 minutes. If you ask anybody who's had transformational weight loss, they will all tell you the same thing. It was a very small amount of changes over a really long, consistent period of time. How did the Advanced Selling Podcast get to have 17 million downloads? By releasing one episode a week for 17 years, longer than the cicadas sit in the ground. It's a thing. It's the truth though, right?
Welcome to Top 3 Thursday, your essential guide to keeping up to date in a world brimming with endless events and innovations. Have you ever wondered what crucial information you're missing out on? What's happening in the shadows of the mainstream? Hosts Chris Starkey and Jeffrey Denman are here to keep you connected. In each episode, they ask guests to share at least 3 key insights from their experiences in the events industry. They delve into the realms of technology, creativity, and groundbreaking innovation, bringing you conversations with influencers who are rewriting the rules. Top 3 Thursday is more than just a podcast. It's your personal informant in an ever-changing world of events. So tune in and don't just keep up, stay ahead of the curve.
Welcome to Top 3 Thursday. My name is Chris Starkey. I'm your host. This podcast is dedicated to all those event professionals that basically have the most stressful, challenging job out there, outside, of course, the military or being a policeman or fireman. But it truly is one of the most stressful jobs. And this podcast is dedicated to giving you tips and tricks to navigate your day. And I am so excited because today I have a GOAT, an individual who has over 15 million downloads on his podcast, Advanced Selling Podcast. He also is a professional NFL referee, been doing it in Indianapolis for a long time, as well as an amazing coach with blindzebra.com. And in fact, I've hired the dude. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for the one and only Bryan Neale. Wow, what a surreal moment this is to have Bryan Neale on a podcast with me. And I'm going to, Bryan, first of all, thank you so much for being on. I'm so grateful. I know your time is valuable. But for me, I finally have a real life, at least in my world, a real life celebrity on this podcast that genuinely means something to me. So I'm going to circle back real quick. It was October. I think your episode was 626 or something like that. Okay.
Oh.
I started listening to countless podcasts during COVID. You had an episode 626 about the transformation of how to go after clients, culture-oriented things, several things that were so relatable to me. And the evolution of this is that after that episode, I was just religiously listening to you, Bryan, even so much so I referenced that you just talked about me indirectly on a podcast just recently, because Bryan is actually going to be coaching my team as I have an events-oriented company called Imprint Group. And my CEO came to me, I don't know, a couple months ago, been trying to introduce lots of leaders to me to do some leadership training for my team. And one day she called me and said, "Hey, Chris, I think I have a good leadership coach to start integrating." Great. Give me his information. I'll look at it, all the above. And then, what's his name, by the way? Bryan Neale. I said, "What? Holy crap. That's the GOAT. That's the GOAT, Bryan Neale." So full circle. And then I forgot about it.
Yeah.
And then Bryan's wife, CEO of his coaching platform, called me to do an intro. And I totally forgot that Adrian even referenced this to me. So I'm going through this. And all of a sudden she's talking about this coach who's going to come in, do leadership stuff. He NFL referee. I said, whoa, hold on a second. And because she was about to give me her full deck.
Right.
And however long that presentation is, this actually goes back to that episode, which I'll reference in a second, that episode 626. And she was about to go through it. And I said, "Wait a minute, are you part of Bryan Neale's posse?" And she said, "Yes, that's my husband." Okay, stop. I don't need to hear your deck. I don't need to hear jack crap. Yes, let's go. I'm down. So per good. That episode back in 626, it was referenced that back in the day, clients are putting up multiple bids for partners and all the above. And you reference it's changing. People's time is valuable. Once they feel it in the gut, they just want to go with it. I referenced it back to that moment and I said, I'm going to take a page out of Bryan's book. Let's just go. Okay, let's make this happen. So anyway, it's such a, full circle, 100%. And it's such an honor to have you on, Advanced Selling Podcast is longest standing sales podcast in the industry. I believe it's almost 800 episodes, correct?
We're actually beyond that. We're sneaking up on 1,000 at this point.
Holy crap.
We
okay,
we just wore everybody down. One a week for 17 years. You just wear them out, right? Just stay at the top.
I love it. It's hard, Bryan, because I have a team of about 70, so I'm a small company, obviously. And I tell people all the time, especially our new salespeople that come in, there's a lot of episodes on Advanced Selling Podcasts that are Sales 101, which is extremely important.
Yes.
But it's so hard for me to integrate my sales peeps, my influence. I'm a coach as well, but my influence to say, guys, can you just invest in yourself and listen to these guys, Bill and Bryan, just to get the ball rolling, make it happen. And it's so hard for people to buy into that. But brother, I drink your Kool-Aid, so I so appreciate it.
You're awesome, and I'm so thankful. It's so funny. It's very uncomfortable. Frequently, this doesn't happen very often, but it does happen when out of somewhere, I'll be speaking somewhere, and then someone go, wait a minute, are you the Advanced Selling Podcast guy? And I'm like, yeah, guilty as charged, which is a brand problem that people don't put those together. We're working on that, actually. But it's flattering. It's so funny, too, because we started podcasting so long ago. And just like you, Chris, you built a really great company. I know you say it's small. It's a wonderful company. I'm working with your team and great culture and all this stuff. But then you're just you and I'm just me. And here we are. And Bill and I, we just do this podcast, but then it touches people and it's really cool to see. Still, though, I'm a normal Midwestern dude who works for my wife. What am I going to say? That's it. Right?
I know you. Here's the crazy thing, Bryan, also. I feel like you and I are running parallel lives. Now, I'm not going to put myself on your platform, especially in the media front. You've been doing this a long time. And as I said, I'm so blessed to have you on. Your background in terms of being a musician, playing multiple instruments. Yeah. I too, in my first life, I was a Broadway performer.
I saw that.
Yeah. And I too played lots of instruments. I started in this industry with a band back in the day. I was a singer, drummer. I play keys. I can't read anything, but I can play by ear. And in fact, I know you play the trumpet as well. How good are you on the trumpet, Bryan?
Not very. So I'm a fifth grade to freshman year trumpet player. That's the only instrument where I can read music very slowly, very easy music, nothing past an eighth note. But I just bought a new trumpet, and I'm a big Prince fan. I don't know if you know that, but I'm a huge Prince fan. I bought a purple trumpet. I got one for Christmas, actually.
Holy crap.
And so not very good is the answer. Not very good, but I'm good getting back at it. You know what I mean?
Bryan, this is getting more crazy because I too was a fifth grade trumpet player.
Oh, really? See, there it is. There it is.
So here's just a really quick anecdote or funny story. I know the fingering on trumpet, but it takes a while to get those lips back, right?
100%.
On stage, I would pull out my trumpet and I would just hit a note here and there. But one of my talents, if you can call it talent, is I'm also a dancer as well.
Yo.
And so I would twirl the trumpet in my hand. I wasn't playing jack on that trumpet, but I just had my lips on it, and people thought I was just killing that trumpet.
So good.
And it was my homage back to my fifth grade youth,
totally.
which is crazy. You did the same thing, man. That's 100%. Absolutely insane. I love it.
If you talk to Stephanie, you'll ask her, say, how's Bryan's trumpet going? And it's the same deal. Fingering's easy. The lips, sometimes they're there, sometimes they're not. It's an exercise thing.
Yeah,
I love it.
It's extremely hard instrument to play, but the circles keep on getting bigger and bigger, brother.
I love it.
Yeah. And of course, for people who don't know, Bryan also is a NFL, do I call it referee or umpire? Sorry.
The easiest term is to say referee, like generic referee. We do have positions on the field. That's where people get confused because my technical position is the umpire, but then people go, I thought umpires were in baseball. So it's easier to say an NFL referee, and then they'll figure it out from there.
Okay, good. Which is accolades on its own. And I'm only going to ask you one question because I'm sure you're asked countless questions about being in the NFL. I missed you by 5 years because I know you did your first Super Bowl for Super Bowl 56.
I did.
I actually was part of Super Bowl 50 with the Broncos. So I was the hired hype man for the Broncos. So I brought in Flo Rida for the after party. I did the pre-party for 20,000 people, just getting on that mic and hyping people up. I was actually at the game, so I'm bummed I missed you on that, brother.
I was there.
Oh,
I was there
too.
I was at 50. I took one of my deals with my family when the kids turned either 6th or 7th grade. They got a single dad, just me and one kid, because I got 4 kids, to go to the Super Bowl. So my son, who's now a sophomore in college, went to that game with me. A great music story. If you remember, when you walked in, there was a concert amphitheater that was hidden and nobody knew it was there. I'm a huge Bare Naked Ladies fan. Bare Naked Ladies and Andy Grammer played. And there was like 15 people there because no one could find the little area.
I know.
That was such a great experience. So I was
was.
there. Yes, it's fantastic.
It was a great time. And again, another circle moment is I too have 4 kids, 2 boys, 2 girls.
Yes.
One thing I really wanted to ask you before we
Sure.
get into our top 3 topic is the fact that you organized for Indiana University the first annual dance marathon that still is the highest grossing charitable revenue event still going on. Is that correct?
It is. Yeah. Thanks for asking me about that too. That's one of, you say, what are you most proud of in your life? And you do the kids and family, all that jazz, whatever. That's my number one answer outside of the normal stuff. The backstory quick. I was a student activities geek all through high school and college. I was the president, called the Interfraternity Councils. Basically the joke was it's the king of the dip blanks, if you get it, right? That's a quote from 16 Candles. I was Farmer Ted, king of the dip blanks. We had an advisor who was on a judging committee for student-led fundraisers across the country. This is pre-computers. This is videotape stuff. And he saw this dance marathon from Penn State University that they had been doing since the 70s. And he goes, this is really cool. You should check this out. I think we could do one of these here. So I literally got one of my friends, her name is Jill Stewart, and my other friend, Christy Gaynor, and the 3 of us called out to Penn State. We flew out there, took a bunch of notes, learned how they did theirs. I came back, went back to our hotel room on Sunday night, wrote a list of 13 of our friends who were student activities geeks too, got them all together the next week, said, we want to try to do this. The rule is we will have fun, we will not stress, and we will pay for the whole thing and donate at least $1 to Riley's Children's Hospital here in Indianapolis. We donated $10,900 the first year, and it since then has raised over $50 million 32 years later.
I didn't see that stat.
Yeah,
wow, that is crazy.
It's wild. It blows my mind. If you could, because you were there for the start, just like you started your firm, you saw it from the beginning when it was just you or nothing or your partner, and then all of a sudden there's 70 people there. Like what? It's just a really cool thing to have the memory of the beginning.
Amazing accomplishment, and again plays very close to my heart. One of my daughters is a special needs kid, has cerebral palsy, and we spent months and months in children's hospitals and Ronald McDonald's houses. I'm 55 this year, and again, going back to COVID, I know you own 7 companies. You definitely have that entrepreneurial vision, not the bureaucratic vision, but the entrepreneurial vision, which I'm going to tap into shortly. But it's not about the money, because I know you have a quote as well that when you're laying on your bed about to die, it's not about checking your Chase ATM. It's what have you done? What's in this? What you've accomplished on this marathon is amazing. During the COVID twist, I massively went personal branding and did a whole bunch of dances with my daughter, but also in an effort to dance with hospital workers and dance with policemen, frontline people, and the list goes on and on. And it absolutely has been one of the most rewarding thing in my life. And I still try to contribute. And I love, again, you're the greatest sum of the 5 people you surround yourself with.
Yes.
And the fact that you are executing that at that kind of level is just inspirational for me at 55. I want to keep on grinding and get to that, because congrats on that. And thanks for that motivation.
That's
I appreciate
awesome.
that.
Of course. Yeah. And God bless your kid and your family and all that stuff. People don't see that stuff. When you're in it, you see it for that moment where you're like watching the charity event or whatever. And then life keeps going for the people that are in those hospitals and that stuff. And people don't see that. And I think they should see it more frequently than they do. So God bless you guys.
Transform your media or event-driven business with Mojo Makers, where we specialize in scaling your venture effectively. Eliminate the 80% of distractions holding you back and get hyper-focused toward a 10 times growth strategy. Our future filter approach cuts through the noise, keeping your business on track for record numbers. Contact Mojo Makers today and start your journey toward unparalleled business achievements. Find out more at www.mojomakers.net.
I'm going to get right into it, Bryan, because like I said, your time is valuable, but I am in the mindset, especially now more than ever, with so many changing landscapes, AI, the gig economy, so many different things that I know you're very privy to. Secret to my success over the years has, with my own company, is that I am the chaotic cowboy. I want to change stuff every 3 to 6 months. That's why your integration, even with my team on the coaching side, is important, because complacency is the enemy of execution. And we so often continue to use the past as our present and have a 2x multiple, or not 2x multiple, but actually a 2x multiple to grow the business.
Yeah.
And I come from the mentality of, I want to future face myself. I don't have a college degree. I don't have a business background. I was just a grinder my entire career. And I started out doing bar mitzvahs. And this story is going to be quick. So 0 to when I got done doing the New York Broadway thing, went to move to Denver, started doing bar mitzvahs. I had AOL and a computer I didn't know how to run. First year, I did $40,000. I got up to $1 million in 3 years. So I way more than 10x that. And then what's next? Future facing. I would walk down New York and I'd pretend I'd have one of those toy cell phones in my hand, just pretending that I was an executive. There was no one on the line, but I wanted to feel that mojo every step of the way.
Yes.
I said, okay, we're $3.5 million. I know what it is that I want to get to. I don't know how to get there. Okay. And then I embrace the who, not how mentality.
Yep.
And so I incorporated my who's, merged with a different company. And in a matter of 6 years, went from $3.5 to $35 million. And it was the transformation of continuing to live in that future, but bring it to present day. Okay. So that's the premise of the question I'm going to ask you. So in the sales world, transforming your business, one of the hardest things to do for a company with more than just 1 or 2 employees, that's 70 employees, adopting a mentality of transforming your business. Where could we do another 10x by transforming? So if you're a business owner and in the sales side, you want to transform your business to a 10x model, wherever top line you're at right now, if you could give us 3 ways from a sales side to do that, where would you start? Let's start with number 3, Bryan. Hit me.
Number 3, you want to go in order. Number 3. Let me contextualize too, because you've mentioned a couple times, and 10x is easier than 2x is a book by a person we both admire, I believe, Dan Sullivan. I've actually been in his classes. I'm guessing you have, or if you haven't done.
I'm a strategic coach person. Yep.
That's the same here. And so you learn some of these things from others, and then you pass them and move them on. So I say that to contextualize because I'm a huge fan. I love things, and I'm a client or past client of Dan's. And I have taken one of his ideas and flipped it. And it's the one you just mentioned. And I didn't flip it, cancel it. Yeah. I said, I flipped it and then. So one of Dan's principles is who, not how, because people always want to figure out, how do I do this? And he says, you need to get good people first, then figure that out.
Right.
So I put an and on that. So you go who, not how, and then how, not who. And it all lives together. Here's what I mean by that. So you say that the first thing that I would do to 10x my sales world, once I had the who's in place, and I've got those people there and they fit culturally and all those other things, then I need to create a systematic way to go execute. Is how we do sales. So it's how we do sales at Imprint. This is how we do sales at Blind Zebra. So that's the mantra I've been carrying with my clients. And this is the shameless plug part. So we took all of my 25 years of, I'm like you, visionary ideas, whiteboard, documents all over the place, and organized them into an operating system. And so when we grow and scale, that operating system becomes the anchor that allows us to add magic on top of it. And what happens too often is people try to transform with magic, and there's no foundation there. So the first step to me in transformational change over time is a really strong foundation of a systematic process. This is how we do sales at Imprint. It's how we do sales. This is how we do sales at Blind Zebra. This is how we do it. Once the who's are in place, then we do have to visit the how. And what that gives you as a business owner is predictability, visibility, and accountability, which a lot of people want. They want predictable, visible, and accountable. One of the things the system does is allows people to be accountable without us being the ones holding. People always say, how do I hold the people accountable? That's like, to me, trying to control a human. I don't want that. I want them to be accountable to a thing. And I don't even want it as a like you better or else thing. It's just, this is how we do it. And I have found that to be a very refreshing message for people to say, okay, that's a really cool thing. So that's my first thing. I don't know if that's number 3 or number 1, but
that's number 3. We're going to bounce up to number 1.
Okay, good. I love it. Love it.
So I love it. So again, just to recap it.
Yeah, sure.
You need a badass SOP in place, a foundational piece that is really guiding them to the vision of what that 10X looks like. Great. Number 3.
Yep.
Number 2, hit me, Bryan.
Number 2 is you need consistent small amounts of outbound behavior. Sales or marketing. Consistent and small. What people tend to do that I think is a mistake when they're trying to get to 10X, going to 10X feels like I got to hurry up. So just use weight loss as an example. People don't gain 60 pounds in 10 minutes and they don't lose 60 pounds in 10 minutes. If you ask anybody who's had transformational weight loss, they will all tell you the same thing. It was a very small amount of changes over a really long, consistent period of time. How did the Advanced Selling Podcast get to have 17 million downloads? By releasing one episode a week for 17 years, longer than the cicadas sit in the ground. It's a thing. It's the truth though, right? So what people do though, when they go, we're going to 10X this thing, then they try to 10X the behavior. And to me, my experience has told me that's not sustainable over time. The machine and the people break down. They just can't handle that pace. What's better is slow, steady, constant. And the operating system should support that. There should be tools in the operating system that tell you how to do the consistent small bits of outbound behavior.
I guess that's why I'm hiring you, Bryan, as a leadership coach, because one of my biggest flaws as an owner, as an entrepreneur, here's the secret to my success is sense of urgency. There's nothing else.
Yes.
I am a sense of urgency person.
Yes.
And if I don't have that around me, it absolutely is excruciating.
Yes.
And that's what's happening right now. And it's been happening for a while, but I don't want to negate my CEO, my other partners. They're very process oriented. I'm the thumb on the back of the neck.
Yes.
And it's so difficult for an entrepreneur, especially at 55, I'm 5 years away from being 60.
Yeah.
I want it done now, baby. And you're absolutely correct. The incremental growth, it's not about the gain. It's not about the gap. It's about the gain.
Totally.
Right?
Yep.
What do you tell an entrepreneur that just wants it done now? And that influence of telling that entrepreneur from a self-managed business, back the hell off.
Yes. Yeah. So I'm you. I'm a visionary. Go. So I wrote down when I was 19 that I wanted to ref the Super Bowl when I was 51. When I was 19, I wrote that down. I have a big dream. It's not like I love to referee a little bit. Like, no, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to go to the Super Bowl. That's the deal. Podcast. We want to have the biggest, most popular sales podcast in the world. That was our goal we set out. And so the drive has to be there behind the process. It has to. Because if no one's driving the process, it will revert to the mean and the speed of the leader. That's a trait or a phrase I use. It goes as fast as the speed of the leader. So even though the consistent behavior is there, if the leader isn't fast or their version of consistent is low or lower than yours or mine, the thing's going to revert back to the mean. It's going to become very average and stale. So you need both. So you need the press and you need the consistent behavior over time.
You start to adopt an air of complacency, and it's hard for an entrepreneur who's not involved in the business to see anything, because there's not a lot of communication happening back to me about what's going on in the day in the life. You just feel, where's the action? Where's the energy when you pull yourself out? So again, that's why I'm so fortunate to have you as a coach to tell me to shut the hell up. And yes, we're on the right, but also I want you to make sure that if you identify, this is kind of a self-help talk for Chris Starkey today. If you identify, Chris, your team is not moving fast enough with everything going down. I was talking about AI 2 years ago, and just now my team is starting to utilize it, which again is excruciating for me.
Yes.
Since I brought it up, they're starting to talk the blue ocean, red ocean strategy. That was something I talked about 6 years. It's so hard. Okay, so I can't wait, Bryan.
It'll be awesome. And just think about this. Think about Elon Musk wants to go to Mars. And believe me, my guess is, I don't know him, never met him. My guess is he wants to go there as fast as humanly possible.
Right.
And as fast as humanly possible to go to Mars is going to be like 15 years. You know what I mean? It just is. And so the balance there is let's go as fast as we can and maintain good systems and processes. So in his world, people don't die and it works. In our world, so that we have really great sustainable growth that's a hockey stick versus just a little driveway bump sort of thing. I love it.
Can't wait, brother.
Love
Can't
it.
wait.
Love it. Love it.
Okay. And the number one reason to really hook it up, give it to me.
You have to have and operate off of a set of guiding principles. And the guiding principles have to be your North Star foundation that all of the stuff we just talked about rests upon. So your team is going to learn 10 of those guiding principles from me. They are things that no one invented. I didn't invent them, at least. There are things like the belief in abundance of a marketplace, the sense of healthy detachment. You may have heard us talk about this in the podcast. So if no one I've met, this is like a kind of blind zebra secret sauce too. I say, can you show me your guiding principles? They go, well, we got some core values. I'm like, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about sales guiding principles. Well, we always, we work really hard. It starts to blah, 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 blah. I'm like, nope, those are documented. They're laptop stickers. They're laminated. We always start there on deal coaching. We always check in every day where we are relative to our guiding principles. That is the foundation. Nobody does that. And if you're going to go to 10X, you have got to find a set of guiding principles to follow, whether it's mine or someone else's.
Right, where it's not quality and service.
No, exactly.
I tell my team all the time, I'm a Brian Tracy follower as well. And If someone on my team says, what's your defining purpose here, but what makes you unique, your unique proposition? I'm all about quality and service. You're fired. You're done. You don't get it.
It's just so
you don't
trivial,
get it.
not even close. It's not even close. It's so
exactly.
So
okay, I love that.
Yeah.
We're going to definitely blog those 3 because it's fantastic words and something that I need to listen to every day, just like I listen to the Advanced Selling Podcast every day. Listeners need to do this exact same thing. So why I have you here, I'm going to do a double Dutch on this because I'm rare where I have someone with your influence and your skill level. So we're in the world of events, okay?
Yep.
One of the most stressful professions out there outside of military and police environment and stuff like that.
Yes.
I want to ask you my next top 3, which is if you are in the event world and moving into 20, 24, 25, into 30s, okay?
Yep.
And you may have to think about this, but for events, if I'm a regional vice president trying to network, give me the 3rd way in the event industry that I could create that kind of high level interaction.
As a salesperson in the event industry?
As a salesperson, yeah.
It's exactly what you're doing right here. Is you should start some social media channel that you produce consistently. So in this case, and you've heard us talk on the Advanced Selling Podcast, I'm not kidding when I say this, every salesperson should have their own podcast. Because what podcast gives you is a platform for connection with people that you don't have as a salesperson. You're in the media now, and you have to be pure to that. You can't use a bait and switch thing. Hey, I got Chris here. Hey, Chris, I got you. It's not that. But you talk about a great way to access people. There's nothing better. Because if I call you as a business owner and we want to talk about sales coaching, what happened? Look what happened. You're talking to my wife about a leadership coach you didn't know was me. And you're like, oh, okay, yeah. And you had dozens. You had Dan, you had all the good ones. And all of a sudden, the podcast thing popped out. I don't need to hear anymore. You knew me. You knew what you got for years. And every salesperson has the ability to do that. You can buy a podcast starter kit for $79 on Amazon. When I'm teaching this in class and people are like this, I'll buy one for someone right there. Where's your address? I'll punch it in. I'll swipe right. It'll be there tomorrow. And then you call me. I'll teach you how to set it up. I'm crazy about this, man. That's the first step.
I'm drinking your Kool-Aid. I say the exact same thing.
A podcast. Everybody. They have to. It's a way to get access. And if you want to as a company, that's fine too. And then rotate maybe what AE's on there or whatever. Or you probably have someone who's more gifted to host something like that than another. But that other person could still bring a guest with them. But imagine calling the director of meeting and events at Procter & Gamble and saying, hey, we do events and produce events. Hey, yeah, we talked to a billion of you guys. No, thanks. Versus saying, hey, we do a podcast for the event space. We want to interview some people in the corporate Fortune 50 about the future of events, hybrid events, intimacy, all this other stuff. And so P&G personally, I'd love to be in your podcast. That's great. And there it starts. That's my 3rd thing for sure.
Love it. And I tell my team all the time, personal brand yourself. I can care less about the name imprint.
Yes.
I care about, I like to call myself the William Morris of the event industry. I want to represent celebrities.
I love it. You should. Every one of your salespeople should be. And you know what? Here's the deal. People have a personal brand. They think of like personal brand like they're Snoop or something like that. It's not about that. You have one. Yours might be super quiet. No one knows about it. Ask your friends and family, what's Chris like? They'll all tell me. Oh, dude, super outgoing. He's super fun. He's high energy kind of guy. You know, it's your personal brand. Everybody has a personal brand. Everybody. So that's number 3.
I feel like you and I just need to go on a retreat.
We will.
I can see where I'm talking to Chris Starkey right now.
We will. And it's going to happen because I need your help in another thing I'll talk about later. Anyway.
Of course. Okay. So podcast number 3, I could not agree more. Number 2, hit me, Bryan.
Number 2, you need to, this is adjacent, but you need to participate on LinkedIn. And this is one of the biggest misses that all the sales teams I work with, we have tools to fix this. People just dabble in LinkedIn. The stats are crazy. Even Bill Caskey just put, I didn't fact check it, but it's something to the tune of there are 900 million LinkedIn users. Less than 5% of those people post like once a month, whatever. I'm making up the numbers, but it's like ridiculous.
Yep.
People just scroll and you have to participate. And by participate, I don't mean go in there and go, check us out at booth 820. Come by and say hi. That's selling. That's gross to me. This is about engaging with others, asking questions, giving your opinion, sharing with others things that you learn, podcast episodes, and forward those around. You just don't know how those are going to hit you. I was at a lunch yesterday. It's a networking group I've been a part of for about 7 years. There's a guy there, the least likely guy you'd ever think ever pays attention on anything social media. He's in a construction business, a little older than me. I'm 54. I think you and I are the same age. And we're sitting there at lunch and He's, hey, Bryan, I love those videos you do when you're driving around talking. I'm like, you see those, Mike? He goes, oh, yeah, I see them all the time. I love them. I'm like shocked. I'm like, are you serious, dude? Do you see those? You just don't know the reach you're going to get. It's fishing.
Yeah.
You got to put it out there. So you got to participate on LinkedIn. You have
See,
to
what people get caught up in is the fact that I only have 600 or it's 200, 300. It doesn't matter how many audience. I tell my own marketing team that they're so caught up in, we have another 5 followers. It doesn't matter who's following you. It matters who's following you. It could be 1 or 2 people that generate a massive event for you. So just keep, again, to your point, consistency. You know? But I love that. Okay, so LinkedIn, firm believer. In fact, I don't like hiring people that I haven't seen a post on LinkedIn from them in 6 months, 7, 8 months. That means that they're not invested in terms of connecting, networking. That's what we're trying to do.
People don't realize that. That's exactly, because when you go to get a job, and I'm not saying I don't want everyone to leave Imprint, but people are going to transition, right? That they transition from BZ. And when they do, and they go to look out in the world, the first thing people are going to look at these days is their LinkedIn activity. And they're going to look at their profile, and not just the resume part there. That's easy. It's the activity part. What is this person doing? Are they scrolling? Are they liking? Do they have any activity? So that's number 2.
Geez, I can't wait for you, because I felt like I was going to have to probably talk to you about, please push this top. I don't have to tell you crap.
No,
you're saying exactly what I try to convey to my team. But of course, as every business, no one listens to the owner.
Totally.
They're only going to listen to someone else.
You and I both get paid to be the outside voice to say the same thing the other person's been saying, and then we get all the praise. Then we're like, oh, that's really good. That Bryan Neale's a smart guy. You're like, whatever.
So, I love it. Okay.
It's true.
This is awesome. Okay, Bryan, number 1, give it to me, brother.
Huge karma person. You have to give. You have to give. And you have to give free of strings, free of scorekeeping. And what does give mean? That means, on my personal business plan, that I've been carrying a personal business plan for 22 years, and all my clients have one, or they're supposed to have one. They don't all comply. But one of the elements that has been in my personal business plan since the first one was I make 2 unsolicited introductions to people that need to know each other per month. Just 2 a month. That's not a lot. I just meet someone like you, and I'm like, Chris should know Justin Most. You don't even know who Justin Most is. But I'm like, you two just see the world the same way. I'll shoot you both an email like, Justin, meet Chris. I was on his podcast. He's a listener. Justin's awesome. He's my US coach. You guys should know each other. Consider yourselves connected. Try to get together sometime. That's it. You just give. People love that. They love feeling thought about. They love feeling cared for. And the give part is so good to feel. 0 strings attached. Never keep score with that. Give.
You are so unbelievably correct when you say that, because I've always, my mom always said the energy you put out is absolutely going to come back and give, and it doesn't have to necessarily even be in your industry.
No.
As I referenced earlier, I'm highly involved in the special needs community. I started a new website that I'm about to launch called stayloop.com, where I'm basically creating a resource. We call it News with Heart, resource for special needs individuals, community, to find out where are colleges where people can go, where are restaurants where a special needs person can get hired, are there dance classes where it's specifically geared towards a special needs community. And it is absolutely the most rewarding thing in the world. And when I post that authentically on my social media, the love I get back, and I'm not doing it because I want to get the love back. I want to get it because it really is part of my story. And indirectly, massively helps you in the business world.
100%. 100%. A billion percent. And I love that you do it authentically with no strings attached. You never keep score, and you just keep doing it over time. You can't lose. You can't lose. Because even if you don't get, like, air quotes, anything from it, people they do the attribution game. I did that. I didn't get anything from it. You're thinking about it all wrong. Your intention's off. Don't worry about that. And even if you don't get anything from it, attribution-wise, you did something good in the world. So who cares? You're winning. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's such a big deal. And I love, I'm going to like double stamp something you said. You have to do it outside of your industry. So for your sales team, one of the things we think about is let's feed them information for the events industry. They're dealing with some other stuff, not just events. You know what I mean? They might be dealing with generational differences in selling. They may be dealing with employment turnover. They may be dealing with culture stuff we don't even know about. So it can be anything at all. Anything at all. Huge fan.
Well, there you have it. We did a double decker right now on the top 3. So just bill me, put it on my bill for the coaching that we have coming up in March. Good. But again, I could not be more grateful. I am even more excited. I'm authentically saying this, so excited to have you be part of our leadership training, because it's everything that I think and strategize about all the time. But my voice is not strong enough in my business. And to have you part of that is going to be unbelievable. You can find Bryan at advancedsellingpodcast.com and, of course, www.blind-zebra.com if you want to have Bryan do some of this amazing leadership coaching that he's about to do with our team as well. I drink Bryan's Kool-Aid. And outside of all these things, the 7 companies that he's owned, Advanced Selling Podcast, his coaching, his number one accomplishment by far, raising over $50 million as part of that dance marathon in Indiana University. Biggest accomplishment ever. And just for that, you are worth your weight in gold, brother. So thank you so much for all that.
You're awesome. Yeah. Thanks for having me on today. This is great. We'll do it again, hey?
Absolutely. Can't wait to see you in March, brother.
All right, man.
There you have it.
Cheers.
Thank you, Bryan.
That's all for this episode of Top 3 Thursday, brought to you by Chris Starkey and Jeffrey Denman. Remember, staying informed is the key to staying on top of things. You can find links to any resources mentioned in the show notes. And be sure to join us next time for more insights and stories that keep you connected to the pulse of change.